Hi guys, welcome back to THIKI, and today we're gonna be talking about something I watched recently. Really good movie. I had a blast, a wicked time watching this movie. It was just so much fun, and it was amazing. And if you can't tell by now, I'm talking about Wicked. Man, man, this movie means so much to me now after I watched it. I first heard the music of Wicked from Glee in what, 2010? No, that's too long ago. It was probably like 2012, 2013 was the first time I listened to Defying Gravity, where Kurt and Rachel were battling to see who can sing it better. That was my first introduction to Wicked as a musical. Seeing how they loved the characters, the Broadway musical, I had never thought of listening to it. Even later on, when I became a musical fan, I guess you could say, I never really listened to it deeply. I had heard a few songs in passing, of course, Defying Gravity. I think earlier this year, I think I listened to it maybe twice-ish. I totally forgot every single song on the album before this movie came out. And I was like, that's a sign from God. That's like, I'm happy you forgot everything. I'm gonna make you forget everything so that you can go enjoy the movie with fresh eyes, not knowing the story, not really knowing what the music is gonna sound like, and just have a good time. And I went in expecting to just have fun. Cynthia Erivo, Ariana Grande. I had hope. Yeah, I had hope in them. But I was like, it's gonna be a fun time. That's it. And I'm gonna go enjoy this movie. And let me tell you, did I enjoy this movie? When I went into the theater and I sat there looking at the screen and the opening music and visuals came about, I knew, damn, okay, I'm in for something serious with this one. I didn't know what to expect. I just knew Wizard of Oz prequel, I guess you could say. And I had known nothing else, nothing about the story, just Green Witch, Blonde Witch, yada yada yada. But here I am to tell you my thoughts on the movie. I'm gonna try and keep this as spoiler free as possible, but I just want you guys to know, go watch this movie. Whether you don't like musicals or you've watched like Hamilton or whatever, go watch this movie because it's it says a lot about society, and I know that's what everything is. Oh, it's society, da, 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 da. But no, it says a lot about society, not just in the themes of the movie, but in how people have responded to the movie or the things people have taken away from the movie. One thing of note is the way Cynthia Erivo, as an actress, has been represented in the marketing or the after um, press and interviews and stuff, and how the populace or the general consumers have almost, I don't want to say erased her, but they've taken away the milestone that she has for taking this character. Though Elphaba as a character is a person of color being green, the Broadway productions have rarely, I think there's only been like a handful, one or two black people that have played the role of Elphaba. Having the movie version of Elphaba be played by a black woman added so many layers and so much depth to this character that I didn't even think it needed. I thought it already had. A story about a person of color, a green person in this world where no one's green. You think the character inherently has all these subtextual or this depth, complexity to the character. But from what I'm hearing about the production after seeing Wicked is that Cynthia Erivo took the character in a different way than the Broadway production. And I'm saying this to mean it gave new life and new context to the role of Elphaba. From what I've heard in the Broadway production, I haven't seen it myself, but Elphaba's played off as more angry, snide, snarky, angry at people around her, angry at the world. But Cynthia plays it as more understanding but defensive. And as a black person who is friends with a lot of black women, who knows a lot of black women, that's something that they have to do in many aspects of their lives when it comes to their hair, the way they act, etc., etc. They're seen as these I don't want to say foreign beings because that doesn't sound correct, but they're seen as these outsiders are different by the world. Having a black woman play this role brings that aspect to it that her predecessors haven't been able to. And I think that's what made this show more memorable to me watching the movie than listening to the soundtrack. Not just because it's a movie and I'm actually getting the story, but the music, the emotion you get from the vocals, from the choice in vocal riffs, from the choice in singing versus speaking certain lines, you feel the emotion a lot more and you feel a deeper connection with Elphaba. For people who aren't musical fans, I'm not saying, oh, run to the theaters and go watch this movie. You have, like, it'll make you love musicals. It's great. Like, the music is amazing, the music is good, but if you don't like people singing on a screen randomly out of nowhere, you're not gonna like this movie. It's a musical, you know what I'm saying? So don't go rushing to it if you hate people singing instead of talking at random points and random times. Because I don't know, I personally just enjoy somebody feeling so full of emotion that they have to start singing, or dialogue can't express enough, so their voice, their musical prowess is what's gonna do it for them. There's just something about it that's very powerful. Dancing Through Life, oh my goodness. The song choreography, cinematography, the blocking, it's just, it was beautiful to watch. It's mesmerizing. It draws you in and holds you close and takes you along on this journey with them. The John M. Chu, who's the director of the film, talks about using practical set pieces, everything practical. Like they wanted to feel real and feel immersive. It's not the Wizard of Oz with pastels and bright colors, but it's colors you would see in real life, colors you would see in our reality. And he put him in this foreign world so it feels real. So it connects you to these characters. It connects you, it makes them feel like real people rather than a painting or a mural or this fabricated universe. I think it's very well done. Great decisions on the parts of the cinematographers. Shot composition was amazing. And it was very deliberate. There were a lot of camera choices that most people wouldn't do for a musical like this or for an adaptation like this. They were very experimental, kind of experimental, but it's just unorthodox for these kind of format, right? And it all worked so well. It made the world just feel so real and put you in the middle of this grand universe that we've known so much about over the last however long the Wizard of Oz has been in culturally appropriate, hundreds of years now. It made it feel not like a story but like an event. All these different factors just created a movie that drew you in and it helped you hold space for the emotions of the character. If you know, you know. I've watched it 3 times now, if that's to tell you how I experienced it. First time was a normal watch. Like I didn't know what I was getting into and I watched it and I was like, damn, there's truly something here that I need to experience again. Second time I watched it, I was like, that's wow. I processed it in a different way and it hit even harder once you see the layers and the levels of thought that goes into these characters and the decisions that they made. And looking at it, knowing everything in hindsight, helped me process the subtextual acting decisions and deliberate choices by both Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo for their characters that add so much life and makes them feel so real. Third time I watched it, it was like, I understand now. Everything from the first two that I might have been like, whoa, what this? Third time it all just came together and brought the experience to like a close. Like I'm content now. I know my experience is probably different from a lot of other people's, but I'm gonna say this. There is a reason why Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande are crying in every single interview that you see online. There's a reason why they're always holding each other, they're always in contact, they feel like there's a bond there. It's because this movie is so close to these actors. And you can tell by the way, or especially Ariana Grande talks about it, she's been wanting to play this role since she was a little kid. And you can tell how much they put these characters on a pedestal. They know that these characters deserve to be played extremely well. and they delivered. Ariana Grande with a spectacular comedic timing, spectacular vocals, and just great screen presence, just blew it out of the water. And then Cynthia Erivo with her vocals and her acting decisions, and she immerses herself in the role of Elphaba, and it's just beautiful. But going back to the way consumers have taken this event, I call it a cultural event if I'm being very honest. We see a lot of people forgetting the powerhouse that is Cynthia Erivo. They're focusing on Ariana Grande because she's this pop star that nobody thinks can do this, or nobody is like, oh, can she really sing Broadway? She's a pop star, and everyone knows her for Seven Rings or Break Up with Your girlfriend or whatever. I didn't have a doubt, honestly. I knew she's a great singer, and I know she's well trained, and she pulled through. But Cynthia Erivo ends up getting pushed to the side because everybody's like, oh, who's this unknown black woman that's playing this role that had the little outrage about the poster thing a while ago, and it's like, oh, who is she? You know what I'm saying? People forget that she's actually been in this industry for a while. She was the fairy godmother in Pinocchio. She played, I can't remember the exact character she played, but she's been The Color Purple on Broadway, and I'm not sure if she was in the screen production as well, but she's been around. She's been well known in the musical community, and she is an amazing performer, an amazing artist. And I will say that some of the questions and the ways some certain interviewers, not all, some are really great, made Ariana Grande outshine Cynthia Erivo. Just not, it's not fair. I think that's the right way to put it. It makes no sense as to why that's the way it has to be. Just because this person is more known or this person is more culturally relevant, that we forget the people who are putting in their everything into these characters, or we overlook these people that are putting everything into these characters, because there's no reason for you to talk about Ariana Grande's screen presence and how she took control of every scene she was in, or she drew you in for every whatever, when the person who I think had the most powerful and emotional reach, depth, etc. in this film was definitely Cynthia Erivo. She deserves her props. She killed this role. Her vocals, I keep saying it, but her vocals, man, really damn good. Just go watch this movie and let me know what you guys think, because man, every note she sings, every song, it's so planned. It's almost perfect because she gets you feeling the emotions. Even at times when some Broadway purists would be like, "Oh, but she made this. She was doing some more poppy or not Broadway riffs or etc. etc." I think it worked for the character. It conveyed emotion that I don't think from listening to the soundtracks and other people performing some of these songs, they weren't able to achieve. And it worked so well for screen in front of a camera. It worked so well because I think if somebody had played Elphaba the way the Broadway productions performed it, I don't know if it would have hit the same. I'm not saying their vocals are bad. Their vocals are great. It's a challenging song, but the way they add their emotions into these songs doesn't feel as pure, as true to the character. It's a great movie. Even on its own, forget about a musical, forget about adaptation. It's just a great fun time for the family. It's a great movie with so many decisions and choices. Choreography, amazing. Some things are questionable, but for the most part, it's really good choreography, really good use of the spaces that they created. All the sets are walkable. They feel like real buildings, real places, because they are real buildings and real places. They spent a lot of money and a lot of time bringing this world to life. There's a lot of care that has gone into creating this world. John M. Chu, I am seated for part 2. I don't know what's gonna go on in part 2. I'm holding myself back from watching the Broadway production, but I'm excited. I'm ready. I will be seated. I will be there. And I'm taking as many people as I can to go watch this movie. They've put in so much work and so much time on a fairly small budget too. And I know when you get into the millions, you're like, millions of dollars is not small, but for a film of this magnitude, with this amount of practical effects, practical set pieces, using only 150 million approximately for each part, give or take, is insane for the scale of what they've done. I'm gonna call out certain places like Red One, for instance, that used like, how much was it? I think it was almost $300 million for something that is definitely not gonna make that back when you include marketing as well. 300 and something million is only for the production. It's not for marketing or distribution or advertisement, right? So they're definitely not making back that money through box office. It's going straight to Prime, basically. By the time you're watching this, it's probably already on Prime, and that's like a month after release, which is crazy. And Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, he said that he watched Oppenheimer, and because he watched Oppenheimer, he was like, I need to watch Red One on this same IMAX screen. It's gonna look amazing, or something like that. For the amount of money they used for this film and the amount of impact it's had both culturally, it's amazing that they did this with that amount of money. So that's my take. I'm not gonna give a number to it because I'm biased at this point. I'm a theater kid, so I'm like, it's a 5 out of 5 for sure. There are definitely issues with certain things. People would say pacing, but I understand why they did with this long for just a part one. It definitely would not have been the same if it had been cut down. There are definitely some parts that they could have removed or they could have left out, but it would have made the world feel less real if they had cut some of those things out or taken less time to do certain things. Like the one scene in the Ozdust Ballroom, if they had cut any of that down, it would not have had the amount of impact that it did. 5 out of 5 is my bias score. Probably a 4.5 if I'm trying to remove as much bias as possible, but it's still a really good show when you look at it even technically. Music technically, video technically, everything technically, it's really good and it's really powerful. So yeah, if you have some time and you don't mind spending maybe go on a Tuesday, you don't mind spending the $9, $10, $11 to go watch this film, preferably in IMAX or one of the better audio quality so you can get the best audio because the audio is amazing. Go watch it. Go take some friends, maybe on a date, and go watch this movie. It's a fun time. Christmas season coming up. It's a good Christmas, chill, relax, just enjoy movie. You might end up bawling your eyes out like I did. It's just a great movie overall. So I hope you guys go watch it, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. Cry your heart out, bawl your eyes out, and just enjoy defying gravity and holding space. I know I sure did. And yeah, that's how I know it. I'll see you guys in the next one. More content coming out soon. Trying some new stuff like this with reviews, maybe some book reviews as well. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, so then,